Welcome to the Alarmists, Conspiracy Theories and Coffee. You know, 3-4 months, our world has been turned upside down. We don't know what to believe. We don't know who to believe. And let me tell you, man, life has gotten fucking scary. With the Alarmists, I hope to give people a voice because we have a lot of upset people out there. We have too much going on. We have everything from a pandemic, oil crashing. We have riots now because people are being treated badly, from Me Too to Black Lives Matter. And the people of this country they've had enough. And what we're going to try to do with the Alarmists is to give you that voice. I want this show to be a place you can come to let it all out, man, to speak what's on your mind, to say it all, and to have a platform that you don't already have. On the show today, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. First of all, I don't know if anybody's heard, but there is a rumor going around that President Trump, he had a mini stroke, but I don't believe it. I think that's a conspiracy because if you look back online, they've been saying that since February. You know, it seems that any opportunity they get to go at the president, they will. So, you know, this is the problem right now. We don't know what to believe. Every single day you hear stories coming online that say, oh, today, people that are asymptomatic for coronavirus are very contagious. And then 2 days later, it's, asymptomatic people, it's very rare to get contagious. Who do we believe? Today, we're going to have George Flowers coming on to debunk some of these conspiracy theories. We're going to talk about the things that are in the headlines. We're going to rip them right out and we're going to dissect them and we're going to get to the truth. And also today, we have Bryan Downey. He's an incredible filmmaker. He has a film that just went to the AFI in Cannes. He's also an incredible activist. He single-handedly cleaned up the beaches of Southampton during the peak of the coronavirus, an incredible human being. And to start the show off, my nemesis, Mr. Steve Grillo, whose brainchild this is, the Aftershock XL Network, Steve Grillo's Aftershock XL Network, and his Aftershock XL show has given me my own show, The Alarmists, Conspiracy Theories and Coffee. Steve and I do what we do best. We love to collaborate. We love to get the news out there. And a couple of nights ago, I said, Steve, we got a story. There he is.
Jesse, it's not that I can say I'm proud of you because I know you had this in you, but your intro and your couth and your professionalism bringing this show to life was so on point. I got a little chubby. I got to admit. I'm a little chubby. Yeah,
well, look, you know
we've been friends for over 20 years, and I know that you had. I know you had this. I know you had this in you. Now it's really in you. It's in you.
Think about it, Steve.
I got it.
Think about it. Buzz Aldrin smuggled the moon rock up his ass, and I came on your show.
Touchdown! It was meant to be, Jesse. And you know, we had our up and comings with the Battle Chat.
That wasn't your fault, man.
No. Wait. Here's the deal. In the back of my mind, even when everything was going down, I knew you deserved your own show, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to give you your show because I knew that this is what you need to do.
Now, thank you for making this happening. And let me tell you, that Howard Stern story, man, I am so proud of you. What an amazing way you handled that. You know how hard it is right now, Steve, with what's going on in this country?
There's helicopters everywhere. There's helicopters. Hold on a second. Look.
Oh, wait a minute. I spoke too soon.
Up there.
All right, leave them
everywhere.
Alone. Leave them alone.
No, the city's on fire right now because everybody was out last night, and it's basically you tell one bar to shut down, and they move to the next bar, and you tell the next bar to shut down, and then that bar shuts down. Then you got a bunch of drunk people that don't want to go home, and now you got a riot. How do you handle that?
Let me tell you something, man. You know, Governor Cuomo, he threatened you guys. He's like, he goes, "Don't make me come down there."
Yeah, what am I fucking 5 years old again? Yo, I've never been. The last time I got
shut New York and the Hamptons down. You know, I mean, what is this about control? Are we on like Animal Farm? Some pigs
yeah.
are
Well,
more equal
hold on a second.
than other pigs?
You're the conspiracy guy, motherfucker. You tell me.
God.
That's your job, bitch.
Well, you know what? My friends are telling me, "Oh, it's Mr. Doom and Gloom."
Yeah, well, now you're on my network. Do your job, bitch.
I'm doing my job, man. Just don't make me bend over, okay?
I know.
Oh, the pain.
That's it. That's all you're getting.
Don't give me a chubby, man. No, I'm telling you, Steve. Tell us a little bit. Let's give the audience some backstory on that Howard Stern article.
Well, you know what happened was, people think that I seemed to started it, and I didn't. I knew this shit was out there. I knew this shit was on YouTube for years and years. And you know what? I'm a sauce stirrer, but I'm not a sauce stirrer. I didn't think anything, but I've seen the hypocrisy between who gets away with what and who doesn't. And God, thank you for stuttering, John. The phony Hollywood establishment, not the liberal establishment, the phony Hollywood establishment. You can get away with what you want if you're on their side. And it's one of those things where if you're not with us, you're against us. So obviously, Jimmy Fallon isn't. Jimmy Kimmel, Sarah Silverman, Howard Stern is. And they had this blackface shit out there for years. And now the way things are and how sensitive they are, nobody reports about it.
He had a show there. I discovered when you put me onto it.
Yeah,
I discovered he did a segment called The Racist Game. Oh my God! I mean,
well, here's the deal. Again, I'm going to go on record as saying Howard Stern is not a racist. I think that what he did during that time was exposing the ignorance of that humor, which was actually, if you watch some of that shit, that shit's kind of funny. I'm sorry, but it is. And I always thought he was exposing the ignorance of people talking like that. Yeah. But I'm all about the hypocrisy of who can get away with what.
A free pass, Steve?
I think he deserves exactly what everybody else is getting. It's not a free pass.
It was trending on Twitter yesterday, and then
it got shut down.
It was gone. How the fuck does that happen?
I'm not here to play one side or the other. I know Howard Stern personally for 8 years. I know he's not racist. I never heard a racist word out of his mouth outside the studio when he wasn't playing a game or a character or a skit.
Has he tried to contact you?
Well, no. Well, I will tell you, there was a contact through somebody I know looking to find dirt on me. He hasn't tried to contact me, but one of his staff contacted, say, somebody from the whack packy thing that they could do, trying to find information about me, and that person was loyal and stood their ground.
You know, I know that Howard's fans can be incredibly rabid. Anybody?
But you know what though? Howard's fans have been defending me more than ever. Like there's one or two assholes that will go on and say shit, and then all of a sudden I'm like, there's people that got my back. I'm like, wow, no one's ever got my back before. This is so awesome. I'm like, wow, you guys are great. Amazing. I can't believe people actually listened to what I said, understood it, and defended me. This is awesome.
You know that Donald Trump Jr. retweeted it.
Yes, I know.
Tim Sabian told me. And
he retweeted it.
Mark Levin and Mark Simone, the radio jock, they're all jumping all over this.
So I'm not here. I was a part of that. I really believed in his basis of show the ignorance of racial humor, racism, and make jokes out of it. That's what he did back in the day. Is that going to pass right now? No.
Robin Quivers never got upset. I mean, even that on-air.
Well, I think that on-air thing, I to be honest with you, Jesse, and I remember watching that live and being there, I was kind of taken back because she really did seem to get a little taken back and
I
pissed
felt there
off.
was a little truism going on when she
Yeah,
was
no,
speaking.
there was.
It's like,
And that
I'm
was
gonna leave if you
that
keep
was
this
live.
up.
Oh, no, she put her foot down, and I love her to death. She's one tough bitch, and she'll never put up with anything like that kind of
Right.
bullshit. And she put Howard in line. But I always thought that Howard was just trying to make light of racial humor and make people laugh about it instead of be angry about it. But
You think he loves this? You think he loves this country? You think it makes him?
no,
People saying Howard is done.
I think that.
Is he relevant? Is he relevant again because of this story?
Oh yeah, he is because he's like, if he would have just embraced it on the View when he sat there next to Whoopi.
But
Here's
he
the other
lied
problem.
on the View, Steve.
No,
Tell the
hold on
audience
a
what he
second.
said on the View.
Hold on a second. The worst thing is when he dropped all those N words was next to Whoopi Goldberg, and in a skit that he did, Sherman Helmsley was playing Whoopi
Mr.
Goldberg.
Jefferson.
And she knew what he did. She knew what he did, and she sat there and didn't say anything. That's how phony all.
No, but
That's how phony. That's how phony all these people are. That's what sucks because they're going to go on the air.
I couldn't believe an actor. I couldn't believe an actor who played Mr. Jefferson, who was in Archie Bunker's face for every.
Hold on a second. I'm going to tell you something that people don't know, and God rest his soul. Okay,
yeah, he's gone. I know.
Sherman Helmsley's coming on the show, and me, Ganji, and Stuttering John are in the office doing it. And Gary comes in and he shuts the door, and he goes, "Guys, I got to tell you something, and you can't let this get out anywhere, but okay. You'll understand it when I tell you this. Sherman Helmsley is gay." And we were like, "Get the fuck out of here. Sherman Helmsley's gay." Yeah, okay.
I'm almost sure he was.
Gary.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Guys, you got to understand something. I'm not kidding. I'm telling you this because when he comes in, I don't want you to be surprised. And we were like, "What?" Yeah, okay. So I don't know if you can see me. Sherman Helmsley comes in the office like this. "Good morning, everybody. Hello. How are you? What's your name?" I was like, "George Jefferson?"
Oh my God!
It was like, whoa. He was blaming, which is okay.
Did you hear from Baba Booey? Did you hear from Gary? Anybody
no, I know people were trying to dig into what I'm doing right now. Like I said, somebody was reached out to that is a very loyal state whack packer or whatever you might have you, and they didn't like that they were trying to defame me, and they also wanted to make sure what my story was, and they called me up and they were like, "What's the deal?" And I explained it, and then they were like, "Of course, I know you," and that's what I thought. I had to hear it from your mouth, and they went back and told them, "Steve's a good guy. Fuck off."
Now let me ask you, no word from Artie Lang? You know, we've been talking about him, Steve. You know that the big rumors.
Yeah, but
that
you know what? If he was in jail,
he would at least reached out to you. That's a huge story.
It was nice that his manager did at one point, but if he was in jail, it's a public knowledge thing. No, am I wrong?
They can. There are ways to keep it quiet.
Well, you're an alarmist. You're an alarmist. Find out, motherfucker. Do your job.
Yeah, I've been trying to find out, motherfucker. Nobody will talk to me. You know, I changed my mouthwash twice.
Yeah. You're a journalist.
No, but you know what? Yeah, fuck you. There are many ways to skin a cat here. You know, there are many ways that they can keep this out. You know, look what Howard did on Twitter yesterday. He made it disappear. How the hell did that happen? I bet you. Because
I don't know, Jesse. Find out.
If he goes to jail, fuck you.
You got a job now. Do your job, bitch.
Conspiracy theory, Grillo. I'm coming for you.
You started this, man. I want answers now.
Let me tell you, though. That's for the record. If it comes out, we broke it first, right, motherfucker? We broke it first. That's right. We've been talking about it for weeks.
Jesse, you're very good at you do. You're asking a lot of questions that you have to find answers to.
All right, okay. It's theories, my friend, theories, and
Theories.
a little coffee. No reason why I can't have a good cup of Java to get my friends to
Yeah.
work in the morning. That's it,
Yeah.
But anyway, let's tell the viewers what about your show. When is it on? When can they watch?
It's on the Aftershock XL network, which Jesse Nash and George Flowers are now the Alarmists. It's my honor to have two credited journalists on my network promoting what we're doing. This Grillo's Aftershock XL show. You don't know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, but when it does happen, and it's awesome. But I'm starting to build this network out. There's going to be a lot of new shows coming up. I got a lot of great ideas. And my best idea so far is to have Jesse Nash and George Flowers as the alumnus on my fucking
I don't
network.
pay you enough, Grillo. I don't pay you enough.
I don't pay me enough.
Oh, man. We're not getting paid, are we?
But Jesse, the point of this whole thing is,
the
point of what we're doing is, right? The point of
that?
this whole thing is that we're having fun, but the whole point of this is
to
get paid, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's right.
To get paid. Well, so
thank you, brother, for coming on the show. And
thank you. It's an honor to launch off your shit. Go do your damn job, Jesse. I want to hear answers.
I just told you I love you. Is this tough love? What kind of love is this?
I love you, Jesse. Now you got the job. Go do it.
Yeah, you got a job, man. You got a job. Love you, man. Peace. Now, joining me, one of Howard 100's stars, in fact, the star, George Flowers, the voice of New York One, CBS Radio News, ABC Radio News, a man who I've been best friends with for 40 years. Oh, my God, there he is. Mr. George Flowers, nice to see you, my friend. Welcome to the Alarmists.
Best friends for all these years. We all make mistakes. What can I tell you?
Oh,
here we are. But it's good.
An arrow through the heart. If I had one.
If I were the wizard, I'd give you a clock.
Pay no attention to the man behind the
curtain. Indeed.
George,
yes,
you and I talk daily. And we have seen this country get turned upside down.
Yes, we have. And I think it gets turned upside down for a purpose. At a certain point, things just erupt. And thank God that they have. And yeah, we're talking about bad things happening in Washington, all kinds of horrible things happening on the streets with the police and all of these horrible situations that are occurring. But at least finally things are coming to a head. And it's so important, at least in my opinion, that we have this in America. I lived through the 1960s, the 1970s, all the turmoil of that era. And
is this worse?
Yes, but it's worse in terms of intensity. But I think the undercurrent is so much stronger that it's a very positive thing to have happening. No, I don't want to see buildings burning. I don't want to see cars burning, any of that stuff. Nobody wants to see that. But the importance of an issue that has absolutely captured a nation and captured the world. It has spread beyond these shores to other countries and other capitals in other countries all over the place. And that was something that was extremely important. Because if it's happening here and it's that big a deal, you don't have tens of thousands of people marching. You have millions of people marching.
We have a lot to think about with this election coming up. We also have Bryan Downey in the wings.
Good.
And
good
Bryan,
man. Yes.
Bryan, I've known Bryan for about 10 years, but I'll tell you something. Every time that I talk to Bryan or run into Bryan or see Bryan, he is doing something spectacular. If it's not from having a photography show, because he's an amazing photographer. When I first met Bryan, he had his own music studio, and he's worked with all A-list people, Liev Schreiber, Naomi Watts, you name it, they've been in that studio. And he's a carpenter. He's a great. He's building some of the greatest properties in the Hamptons, and he's a filmmaker. He has a movie that just got entered into the AFI competition in Cannes, and it won. Bryan, come on.
How are you, Bryan?
I'm doing great. You know that picking up the trash thing. I believe that.
Well, explain to our audience what you did, because I think it's pretty great.
Well, let me back it up a little bit. When this coronavirus hit, it just occurred to me that this is definitely Mother Nature. Even if it's man-made, she made the man. She planted the idea. So this is Mother Nature. And I believe that if you don't do something good for Mother Nature, for the planet, she will fuck you up big time. So
Isn't that what's happening now?
well, of course. But yeah, and it's got nothing to do with Trump. Whether it being quicker, slower, it makes no difference. We'd still be right here. It's the same thing. He just so happened to be the guy steering the bus, you know? Whether he steered it wrong or right, that's irrelevant because we'd
At this
still
point,
be
it
here.
is irrelevant.
We'd still be here. But I believe sincerely that if you do something good for Mother Earth that you normally wouldn't do, you know, recycle, which is a kind of a basic, I guess. But, you know, how many people just walk past trash on the floor and say, that's terrible, but they don't go through the effort of picking it up. And I understand the germ thing of picking up trash, don't get me wrong. But I've been doing this more like 10 years. I've just been doing it very vocally for the last 4 years. And this coronavirus basically got people's attention because out in the Hamptons, it's a big contractors hub. You know, it's like we have thousands of pickup trucks here. And the pickup trucks, if they were built before 2006, they do not have covers on the back. And so they incorporated a law called the cover law, which means if you have trash in the back, it has to be in a box, it has to be in a bag, or it has to be covered or way down inside. But, you know, what happens, the vehicle gets moving 30, 40 mile an hour, you get this updraft, it's aerodynamics, it's pretty basic, and the back just gets emptied. Everything that is light and waterproof and gloves and masks and plastic and cans and coffee cups. And then the contractor gets home, looks in the back or her back, I'm not saying it's just a guy, and not being sexist, looks in the back and goes, who
Not that
stole
there's
my...
anything wrong with that.
No, who stole my trash? Someone stole my trash.
So, but you've been fighting this for 10 years?
I've been fighting this for 10 years.
my God.
And recently what happened is...
What did they tell you? I mean, it's logical what you're saying. What did they say to you when you approached them the first couple of times?
Oh, you're going to love this. So you've got the town, you got the village, you got the state, you got the county. So I reached out to one guy who I know, who I really love and respect. His name's Jay Schneiderman. And he happens to be a great musician, but he is also, you know, pretty high up in kind of regional government. I don't quite know his position, to be honest. But I'm friends with him on Facebook. So every time I got a huge pile of shit, you know, from a beach in like 1 hour, and I'm talking gloves, masks, bottles, cans, knives, drugs, tampons, condoms.
Oh my God!
You don't want to see. You don't want to see that when you bring your kid onto the beach. Daddy, what is this?
That's a nightmare.
Is this
I have 2 kids. That would be a nightmare.
It's disgusting. We know, right?
Oh my God.
So anyway, so I was doing it, and to be honest, it's very meditative. You just get into this zone of I'm going to pick up everything from every cigarette butt to every napkin, regardless how long it takes me, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, whatever, and you clean it, and then the town come and go, wow, wow, people are being really responsible. But
people have to know that
they're
you
not
spearheaded this. And
yes.
Let me tell you something. At the worst peak of the coronavirus, you were out there risking your life.
Yeah.
And how did you feel, man?
Everyone's risking. You know what? You stand less chance of getting hurt being on your own picking up trash than you do being in that street that you showed me last night. So, you know, so today, for instance, here's my schedule. 4 a.m., I'm awake. By 5, I do all my paperwork and emails to my clients 4 till 5. 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock, I go to Long Beach. It's 1 mile long. I do all the water and I do all the parking lot coming back. And everyone on the beach knows me. Everybody that does all the morning routines, even people that are over on the big road is shouting over the sand dunes, because they see this guy with the stick, but you should see the crap we collect. So that's a town property because it's the beach. Right next to it is a road, and we did a volunteer pickup. It's 1 mile long, guys. We filled 69 huge trash bags of trash in 1 mile. We found Hold on.
I don't know what people are.
92 pairs of
Oh my
latex
God.
gloves and about 103 masks. Now, we know that when you're driving your car, we talked about this yesterday, Jesse. We got our masks in the convenient place. It's like the electric toothbrush. Let's just have it convenient, have it close by. But then you're like, well, it's hot. You put the window down and one of your masks goes, whoop. You're like, whoa, come back here. So I know that people don't deliberately wind the window down and throw it out.
Mhm.
I know they don't wrap up their gloves and throw them out. I know they don't. But I do know that a contractor who uses these all the time puts them in the back of his pickup truck, gets driving down that road that's dead straight, 40 mile an hour. If you have a wind coming the opposite direction, 10, 15
And there it
mile an hour,
goes.
you got opposing forces, you have an updraft. Everything in the back
Mm.
comes out unless it's made of metal.
I'm going to tell you something. Did you see your Facebook page today?
No.
I want to tell you what somebody posted about you, which I think every citizen in their community should remember. This is what you wrote on your Facebook page. It takes community activism to get government to do its job.
There you go. I do get the government reaching out to me. In fact, I was in contact today with one because I tagged her in why have we got 300 foot of vision cable lying in the middle of conservation land overgrown.
Yeah, I saw your post. Yeah,
300, there's
unbelievable.
at least 300 feet. I'm just kind
Tell
of
people your Facebook page so they can come and see what you're doing.
Oh, it's Bryan Downey, Bryan with a Y. And what happens is because I tag these politicians, they write in the comment, and the second they do it, my 5,000 followers jump on their ass. Because
That's a lot of followers.
It is a lot of followers. I know who left that wire. I even have their number, but I don't feel that it's my responsibility to call them to say, hey guys, you've left 300 feet of cable. Can you come and pick the fucking stuff up? Because you're ignoring it. You don't know where it is. Guaranteed.
So you think you can get somebody to publish a story on it to shame him into doing it?
Oh, I don't know. So anyway, so I'm having this conversation, this argument with this woman. She's like, she's like running for Congress. Bridget Fleming. So it's a really sweet woman, don't get me wrong. And she says, I do plenty for the community. And I'm putting my hands up. Bridget, if you call AWP Utility, here's the number 1-800 blah, blah, blah. I'm sure that if you say, hey guys, you've left 300 feet of cable there, could you come and pick it up? It's on conservation land. It's very delicate. It's where the turtles are nesting, and we've got this huge 1/2 ton of cable right on their nesting site.
Well,
And
don't give up on this.
It's
Push
been
them,
there.
because
It's
somebody
been
has
there.
to pay attention.
It's been there since March. And I said, all you've got to do is make a call. She said, but it's not my job. And I'm like, there's the problem. You're segregating departments. We picked up on the road. That's county. But the town wouldn't help us because they only own the beach, which is only 20 yards from the road. I'm like, we all live in the same place. You've got to go on that road to get to this beach. So you should.
Where would the Hamptons be without Bryan Downey? Let me tell you, man, you are an unsung hero, and I thank you for coming on the show today.
Amen.
Really, and thank you for letting people know what you're doing and to educate them and really teach them something.
Doing it for Mother Earth, man. Doing it for Mother Earth.
Thank you,
Screw us.
Bryan.
We are fucked. I'm doing it for her, not us.
What a way to leave. Please, give me something to grab onto.
We screwed that pitch. Now we're on to plan B.
All right, we'll have to have you on again, Bryan. Thank you for coming. I'll say it one more time. Our differences are our strengths. Just keep an open mind. You're on the Alarmists. Conspiracy Theories and Coffee. Thank you, George, for joining and for making it a great show.
Here's my coffee.
You got your coffee? Yeah,
I got my coffee right here, man.
I got a Yeti. Anyway, this is our first show. It's exciting.
Good.
Thank you, George, for making it better, making it great, always adding that wonderful insight that you have. Anything you'd like to say in closing?
Nah. Of course, there are things I'd like to say in closing. Are you getting?
Yeah, I don't know. You're going to wait till we're off the air and tell me what you really think.
Yeah, you son of a. Look, there's there are so many things going on right now. This is the most tumultuous thing I've ever seen in my life, and I've been around for 73 years. It's a long, long
Yeah.
time,
I hear you,
and for
brother.
me, it seems like 173 years at this point. But just looking at all this, this is exactly. I said this to you before, Jess. This is exactly what this country has needed: an explosion of emotion, an explosion of connection with things that are affecting people's lives, and an absolute determination.
How
I
do you think it
really
ends?
think this time things are different. I think that, look, there was something I learned a long time ago. I said this to you, I know in the past. There are two sociologists who studied social change, and they looked at other societies, past and present. And what they determined was that society tends to change just enough to remain fundamentally the same. Think about that. It changes around the edges, not at the core. What we're looking at is something that's core, right? Racism is part of this country. It's part of the fabric of a lot of countries in this world. And it's not going to change quickly. It's going to resist in every way it possibly can. It'll change little things on the sides, a little thing over here, a little thing over there, but the core stuff will never go away. It'll always be there. And it'll always be festering somewhere, even if we manage to get rid of it on the surface. It'll always be festering. Somewhere down in the core, there's going to be this little ember that's burning, saying, I yearn to be expressing myself again. And it's going to express itself again. It's going to come back out. And the same kind of explosion that we have been seeing on the liberal side, we're going to see on the conservative side. And we've all seen a pendulum swinging back and forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Each time it swings, it goes a little less farther than it did the time before. So eventually it slowly comes down and stops in the middle. That midpoint is where it needs to be. So it's going to swing to the left, but not quite as far to the left as it used to. Then it's going to swing back to the right, not quite as far to the right as it did at one point. And it's going to keep doing that, a little less farther each time until it reaches the midpoint. That's where we have to get, and that is probably a century away, a millennium away, not a century.
All
A
right.
century will get us a little bit. So that's my final stat. That's all I have to say. It's going to be a very slow progress.
Thank you. I love you, brother.
Okay.
And
You're
you're
watching
watching
to your family, my
the
friend.
Alarmists, Conspiracy Theories and Coffee. I hope we've woken you up on your way to work.
Here's my coffee right over here.
I'll have to get a stronger dose next time. Signing off. Peace, love. We'll see you soon.
Peace, baby.